You have to be careful here because whenever you're critical of an HBCU, people think that you could potentially be critical of the B of the HBCU, but you're more critical of the U of the HBCU. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football back at it again. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football, pro football, Madden, anything related to American football, hit that red subscribe button right now. It's not going to cost you anything. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on all those things. Also, hit the like button. Please like and comment and share and subscribe. Yeah, do all that stuff. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, we just had this game right now. So I'm currently what's playing right now is the Niners and the Cowboys. I'm going to go back and check that game once I'm done with this video. But I saw something that came across the wire on ESPN.com. I felt like it was very important for us to talk about. Let's get into that because it connects to Dion Sanders at Colorado. It connects with, Ed Reed over at Bethune-Cookman, in particular his case, because it revolves around him not accepting the role. Well, now, it's technically not him not accepting the role, but basically what it says here is Ed Reed won't coach Bethune-Cookman as negotiations fail. It's from Harry Lyles Jr., just here on Sunday. So Ed Reed, the famous Super Bowl champion and 9-time Pro Bowl selection with the Baltimore Ravens, arguably the greatest free safety of all time, announced Saturday he will no longer be the head coach at Bethune-Cookman. Reed was tearful during a 15-minute goodbye in front of players and parents. And again, if you watch that, so it's on this link right here. I'm not going to play it for copyright reasons and things like that. But you can come in here to this link. It's in the description. You'll see the fact that he actually had Dion Sanders on that call at one point. Very tearful, lots of expletives. That was kind of something that you kind of hinted at later on that maybe it was not necessarily a good match for them. But I'm starting to think that based on what he said and based on what the administration kind of was going through based off of, what Jackson State and, Deion had to deal with at Jackson State, things like that, I can definitely tell that you have to be careful here. Because whenever you're critical of an HBCU, people think that you could potentially be critical of the B of the HBCU, but you're more critical of the U of the HBCU. So we'll get into that here in a second here. He says, we've been around here trying to change things. My vision for change probably moving too fast for a lot of people. I'm not withdrawing my name, as they said. They don't want me here. They don't want me here because I tell the truth. And again, you all and I both know that during contract negotiations, I'm speaking the truth. I'm too real for them, this or that, whatever the situation is. Ultimately, I think that based on what he says, what he wants the program to do and move towards, and what the program was willing to do, they didn't align up with each other. We're going to get into that here. I'm going to speculate a little bit. Again, I'm going to preface here. I'm going to speculate a little bit on the situation, but we'll get into that here in a second. He also tweeted an announcement that detailed, after weeks of negotiations, I've been informed that the university won't be ratifying my contract and won't make good on the agreement we had in principle, which had provisions and resources best needed to support the student athletes. I was committed to coaching and cultivating a relationship with the university, players, community, and the fans. It's extremely disappointing this won't be happening. And again, I want to make sure we're clear about this because there was a tweet that basically kind of set things off on the right path here. They had agreed in principle. He had not yet ratified the contract and signed it. It was this situation here. So you'll see this tweet here. I'm going to include this tweet here as well. Unnecessary reference tweeted this out. Ed Reed is not happy about all the trash littered at Bethune-Cookman. I'm walking out here with the football team picking up trash. I should leave. I'm not even under contract yet. They didn't even clean my office when I got here. And again, a lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, well, Ed Reed, he likes things clean. I don't think that's the primary concern here. Again, it's one of those situations where you and your wife argue about the dishes. It's not about the dishes a lot of times. A lot of times it's about you're not being attentive enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. I think this situation here is similar in the fact that he's riding around on a golf cart. He says, look at this practice field. This is what we have to practice with. Things are decaying here and there. It's not even clean. You can tell that the program is not invested in the ability to win and develop around a good football program. It's basically just like, we're going to hire Ed Reed. He's going to be head coach. Go figure it out. Yeah. We'll support. We'll get back to you. And I think the fact of it was that these sorts of things they didn't even clean it. They didn't even vacuum. They didn't pick up trash. I mean, literally, that's the level of involvement and support that the university is giving to the head coach. I think that's one big factor behind being successful. So Access to good players. The reason why the SEC is better, not because it has better coaching, it's not because it has better facilities, not because of any of that. It's because it has access to players, access to good coaching. Again, if you're a Northern coach, you have to have a good coach. It's very hard to be good as a Northern school with a bad coach because the players you have to recruit up there, this and that. You also, another underrated factor here is having buy-in from the administration. Hey, we need this. Hey, we need that. Hey, we need to do this. Hey, we need to do that. All of those sorts of situations, they're willing to put the resources down for that. It sounds like, and again, Bethune-Cookman, Ed Reed, African-American man, Hall of Famer, arguably the greatest free safety of all time. You see what Deion's doing at Colorado. You see what he did at Jackson State, bringing in Travis Hunter, his son Shadur. You also saw he just flipped the number one corner in the country to go to Colorado. And hint, hint, wink, wink. He knows how to connect with players. You're assuming that Ed Reed could do that there. However, it looks like the buy-in just wasn't there from the top, and I think he saw the writing on the wall, and he was like, I'm out of here, man. Now, he didn't say that. He probably said it with a couple more expletives, but that's Ed Reed for you. It said here on December 27th, and again, a couple of days after Christmas, Bethune-Cookman announced that the school and Reed had entered an agreement in principle to be its 16th head coach. Its previous coach, Terry Sims, was 2-9 in back-to-back seasons. The decision not to ratify Ed Reed's contract comes after the Pro Football Hall of Famer caused a stir when he went on social media and complained that his office had not been cleaned before he arrived. Reed later apologized for the profanity-laced post and apologized for it again Saturday. I'm a good man. I'm not perfect. We all make mistakes, and I apologize for mine. Bethune-Cookman said in a statement on Saturday that it had decided not to proceed with the contract negotiations. Now, again, let's check this out here because it's going to be very, very contract speak for he was too real for us, or he wanted to change things. We kind of just wanted to keep things the way they were. We really didn't want to invest in the football program. Whatever it was, this is what they said. While we appreciate the initial interest in our football program displayed by Mr. Reed during the course of the recent weeks, we are also mindful that the qualities and tributes that must be exhibited by our institutional personnel during what has been a uniquely challenging times for our campus as we recover from the impact of 2 hurricanes during this past fall summer semester. So that's fair. However, I don't know how long ago those were. Again, what I'm basically trying to say here is I think they're hiding behind that. Oh, yeah, well, he's got profanity laced, and we had some hurricanes. And I think, unfortunately, again, if this happened at the University of Miami, this happened in Alabama, this happened at South Alabama might be a good one, LSU, programs that can be affected by hurricanes too. Again, maybe not as much as Bethune-Cookman, but everything would have been cleaned up within a couple of days. It's just what they do. It's just how they act. It's what they care about. I'm not sure Bethune-Cookman cared about Bethune-Cookman's football program as much as new head coach Ed Reed did. And again, here it says that they won 6 MEAC championships since 2000, but they have struggled after joining the SWAC in 2021. The program was hoping to find the same success Jackson did when it hired Dion Sanders as head coach. Now at Colorado, Coach Prime called Reed during his goodbye and offered help and guidance. I know you don't want to leave those kids. Sometimes in life, you got to walk away. He spent the last 3 seasons in a support role, a staff support role at his alma mater, Miami, most recently as a senior football advisor under Mario Cristobal. And again, this brings up the point here where, and we're going to get into a quote here from Bomani Jones, where Bomani Jones basically said what some people had been thinking out there, where, Deion Sanders goes to Jackson State straight to head coach, not a position coach, somewhere, not a, coordinator, this, that, straight to head coach from the Barstool Sports and kind of from, being a commentator straight to head coaching. Boom. That's the situation here. Now, I believe it's a fair trade. We'll get into the reason why I believe it's a fair trade there. But if you think about it here, if Deion Sanders wanted to be, and I'm going to use Ed Reed kind of in the same category there, but if these guys wanted to be head coaches the traditional route, what they need to do is they need to go to Ruston, Louisiana first, Louisiana Tech, and then Ruston's in my mind because Hank Bachmeier just transferred there, former Boise State quarterback. You need to go to Ruston, Louisiana as a defensive passing game coordinator coach for 2 seasons. And then you need to move to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And then you need to move to DeKalb, Illinois. And then you need to move to San Jose, California. Then you need to move to UNLV. You have to go several different spots typically. There's lots of movement. There's lots of this, lots of that, lots of things you have to do there. However, the trade, in my perspective here, that Ed Reed and Deion Sanders are making with these HBCUs is like, hey, here's the deal. I'm a famous name. I'm going to be able to lead your players. I want to go straight to the head of the line and be the head coach here. I'm going to factor in because I'm black, HBCU. I'm going to show allegiance to your university, but I'm going to do that. And in turn, I'm going to change this program around. You watch it. I'm going to flip things around. No offense to Jackson State. Nobody was talking about Jackson State before Deion went there. And also, they're getting televised games, getting top recruits, things like that. They're doing a lot of good there. However, I think that the reason why Ed Reed wanted to go to Bethune-Cookman, same thing. He saw Deion go to Jackson, flip things around. Now remember, when he was at Jackson, his office was broken into. There was some controversy around the ticket sales and this and that. There was a lot of things there. There's also people just blaming him for certain things. Again, we're getting into the Bomani Jones article here because I think that this is the concern that people have with them going to these places. We are on Outkick.com. Dion Sanders' response to Bomani Jones. He sold a dream comments. So it says right here that Bomani Jones says that Sanders taking the job of the Power 5 was a decision made for himself and not for his Jackson State players. He sold a dream and then walked out on a dream. People have the right to be critical of that. He's correct that people have the right to be critical of Sanders' decision. However, Coach Prime has every right to refute Bomani Jones' statement, and that's what he did. So we come down here, we check it out. There's an article here or a little video you can go off of that. But basically here, Shannon Sharp says, CNN had a segment where they asked, is Deion Sanders a sellout for leaving an HBCU? He sold a dream and then walked out on that dream. And Sanders says, what did I sell? He says, what was the dream? The dream was I wanted equality. The dream was that I wanted these kids to get their notoriety to get to the NFL. We did that. The dream was that we wanted better facilities, and we are overlooked and underfunded. I obviously established that. Remember here, that's a big factor here that I think that I am guessing, this is just a guess here, HBCUs don't have as much money as other universities. Not trying to be no shade there. It's just is what it is. But I think that the big thing here was this. The dream was that we wanted better facilities and were overlooked and underfunded. I obviously established that. In my personal opinion here, if I had to guess, Deion Sanders, a little more tactful with the media than Ed Reed was. Ed Reed kept it real. I mean, Ed Reed's from, probably from a rougher neighborhood. That's a guess here. But Ed Reed basically was just like, hey man, I'm not going to do all that, song and dance about what thing it is. I'm just going to be real with it. And this is not acceptable. And he said that. They're like, well, do we want this headache, this or that? Do we really want to be that good at football? Or do we just want to whatever? I assume that's what they did. They let him go from his contract and move on from there. I personally would have loved to have seen Ed Reed make it. Now, again, he's still got plenty of opportunity here. He might go to Miami, do the same thing over there, this or that. But I think that's what I'm thinking here. Why didn't Ed Reed be the head or like an assistant coach at Miami? I think he wanted to cut to the front of the line. That's what I think Deion did do. Now, Deion, he sold a dream, then he walked out. Yeah, he walked out after you guys went 12-1. You guys went 12-1. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, he absolutely 27-5 while he was there. 27-5. Get the hell out of here. No sympathy. I don't even want to hear it. I think maybe 27-6 with the bowl loss. I'll have to confirm that. But I don't want to hear that at all. That, you sold him a dream. Was he supposed to stay there for 70 years, 60 years, 50 years, something like 30 years? Or, again, like he had mentioned before, you either elevate or they terminate. And he decided to be elevated. He did a lot for Jackson State. I anticipated that Ed Reed would have done a lot for Bethune-Cookman. However, the university has to want to buy in too. And if the university is like, well, we could probably make some changes here, he's going to cause a lot of issues. He's going to cause a lot of headaches. He's going to potentially put us in a bad light here in some situations here with the media. Let's just get rid of him. That's what I think happened there. And again, it sucks to see because you want to see, good coaches come up. Because again, I anticipate the same thing probably would have happened. Ed Reed coaches there for a couple of years. And then FAU calls up. FIU calls up. UCF or USF calls up. Who knows? He would have gone and done good things there. So, unfortunate. The college football is better with better coaches. I think I'm not saying that whoever takes over is not going to be a good coach there, but you saw what it did with Deion. You were hoping it was going to happen with Ed Reed. It didn't, and that's where we're at. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I am out.